Get your odd shots ready because we have another match underway. GameProdigy versus John 316. Now, my parents are probably going to be pretty mad. I don't know what verse that is, all right? I'm sorry.
I have no clue.
I have no idea. Maybe I didn't go to enough Sunday school to know what it is, but...
Yep, the only 316 I know is Austin 316, which I imagine is not related.
So why don't you frame this match while I try to figure out what verse this is?
So this is an interesting matchup because Wario spends a lot of his time weaving around in the air. And Mario's actually not that bad at air-to-air conversion against a character like Wario, who doesn't have like huge disjointed hitboxes. Usually, it's kind of difficult for him to actively approach opponents, at least like the higher tier matchups that he often has to play against. So I think this will be a bit easier than most matchups he'll have to be dealing with in an expected tournament bracket. Although that SD game stock one will definitely put him in a deficit. GameProdigy would pick up the lead now, despite the fact there really hasn't been many interactions. Like they haven't been doing like actually hitting each other particularly much, but low percent SDs.
There's just something about GameProdigy's sense at the very beginning of a tournament.
There's terrible things happening.
Oh man.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen the odd shot from last week, you should definitely go watch that.
I turned it into a GIF, and it's on my Twitter. It's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous. But you're right. Not really a whole lot of interactions, and a lot of that really is because John is, just like last week, a bit too C-stick happy, right? It feels like the only moves he's using are really like fireballs and C-sticking a whole bunch. And that's not really what I would like to see whenever you're playing a character like Mario, right?
Yep.
I think Mario has plenty of really good tools, and seeing the limited selection of those tools is very disheartening. Wow.
Wow.
Sick, nasty stuff.
Very nice call, placing the fart in just the right spot where it needs to be to finish his opponent's stock off, which I feel like that's sort of exemplary of Wario's playstyle. He jumps around, he doesn't really feel like he's doing too much, and then you're kind of like, you're boxing with him, the stray hit happens here and there, and stray hit happens here and there, and then you die. And you're like, wait, what happened? Hold on. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, that entire time I've been saving up a fart.
Man,
you said for the right opportunity.
You said boxing, and we're here with a Little Mac. Did you summon Little Mac?
Apparently, yeah.
Are you his trainer? Cephalon too busy to answer because he's eating a chocolate bar right now. Game 2 on Battlefield. And John hoping to maybe use that C-stick, get some of that invulnerability, and maybe so we can put some punishment on GP. But what he's not counting on is the fact that GP has a good amount of Mac experience, I think, given the fact that we have Lil Pack in our area.
Yeah, Lil Pack definitely one of the sort of the sleeper hitters of the area. So if you're not ready, the Little Mac is a very strange matchup, so if you haven't played it, there's a lot of things that'll catch you off guard, especially the fact that his smashes are armored, or it's just such a huge like counter hit presence, and if you just are pressing buttons, occasionally he'll just clock you in the face for a ton of damage. But yeah, once you actually get used to the matchup, it's much more manageable.
And that's one big thing, the buff on that down smash. It's made it so that it's a lot harder, I feel, to punish, even on shield, if spaced correctly with the most recent patches.
Yes, so much shield damage and so much shield pushback. It does make it pretty difficult to punish the max matches sometimes, which is part of the reason also why the matchup feels weird at first for many players, because traditionally if somebody does a smash attack on you, you go, oh well, I just shield and then it's punished for free. But because it does so much damage, pushes so far back, it can be pretty awkward to actually punish it a lot of the times.
Down smash. John hoping to even things up, and he's going to be able to do so right there. Just knocking him far enough to take the stock. Dead even game.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate for GameProdigy that his bike was on the stage at the time, otherwise he would have been able to use that to recover.
More than anything else for GP, his spacing hasn't really been as on point as it needs to be. We've seen he's going for a lot of options that just barely whiff. And barely whiffing is not the word that you need against a character like Lil Mac.
Yes.
They will punish you for all that it is worth.
Yeah, that is definitely one perk Lil Mac has. He's got a lot of range, very active hitboxes, very quickly active moves. Stuff like dash attack and side B come out really, really fast and are really, really good at whiff punishing if your opponent does something silly and has some cooldown.
GP, however, has found a lot of success at nailing John whenever he is forced to land. Like right here, getting another big hit, whiffing with the waft though. But John also missing with the KO punch, and that's going to hurt a lot seeing as he's down by 83%. He hasn't been able to touch GP here, and he won't have that comeback factor for quite some time.
Yep. GP definitely feels like he has a rhythm to what it is John is liking to do when he's wanting to do the smashes, up tilts, etc. Oh, and that miscounter gonna be big. This is not where you want to be as a Little Mac player. Managed to slip to the stage with that side B. And again, yep, that's just too far away.
Again, GP, first stock, it felt like he wasn't really respecting Little Mac enough. You know, he was playing a much more, I guess, like, incredibly aggressive sort of style.
Yeah.
And here it felt more so like he'd be waiting for certain moments. And when he would see those moments, he's like, okay, this is when I can go in. And a lot of those, I think, really revolved around jumps and landings. Even in that last stock, he waits for the landing onto the platform. And right before Mac can get there, the bear is just waiting for him.
Yeah, and also GP's landings himself, doing a lot of stuff. Rather than trying to drop down and challenge Mac's ground game with his aerials, simply landing and then shielding. Shield the smash, deep enough to punish.
Great play from GP, taking that 2-0. He's